what a day yesterday was. And it ended off with a bang. We saw Poilievre ended with a 4,000 attended campaign stop in Hamilton, Steeltown, let's go, Ticats. But that's not really what I want to get to today. I want to elaborate on a story that happened yesterday with the smear campaign that was initiated against Pierre Poilievre. Unfortunately, Global Mail made a serious mistake, and we are going to expose them for everything that they're worth. I'm quite frankly, as a Canadian, disgusted, especially as someone who used to trust this institution to a degree. Especially when I was younger, I definitely did. And even to a degree in my older age, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but no more. There are some things that have come to the surface that need to be exposed, and we're going to do that today. And honestly, you can hear it in my voice. I'm a mess. I am incredibly sick right now, but I needed to get this video done. And as I've said so many times about YouTube as we're in this campaign run, YouTube doesn't like us. So please like, share, and subscribe this if you find it useful and important for people in your life to know about it. Only because I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. In my heart of hearts, I like to trust our institutions. In my heart of hearts, I like to trust the things that I was raised on. But this time, this one's unforgivable for me. And I want to share the story with all of you. But before we do that, I wanted to start off a little bit lighthearted, and then we'll work into the story, and I'll show you what I mean. But yesterday morning, right, we had old Sean Fraser. Oh, Sean Fraser. Yo, Central Nova, Pictou, Nova Scotia. Represent. That's who Sean Fraser is. Was part of the Liberal cabinet for a long time, Trudeau's cabinet. And then Trudeau was slumping the polls. And then Mr. Sean Fraser said, I got family to attend to. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to be around my wife. It's been too long. The life of an MP is a little too busy. I need to spend time with my family. And the Conservatives ripped him apart. And the defense was like, oh, come on. He's looking after his family first. How can you hate on that? And it's just like, because the guy started off genuine in his political career, and then he got more and more, let's say, entangled with the Trudeau way of thinking and became incredibly corrupt in the process. So when I heard that, I was like, no, you see your king-in-chief, Trudeau, going down in flames, and you're trying to use your family to get out of it. And then all of a sudden, you see Liberals get a resurgence in the polls. Mark Carney leading the way. Then we have this. Liberal MP Sean Fraser changes his mind and seeks re-election. And that's why I made sure to start the day off yesterday saying, well, I guess family's only important when you're losing, I guess. That's how politics work. It is really fascinating to see him come out of the woodwork, the man himself, saying, I want to run for the Liberal Party. And he was asked in an interview, okay, you said you left for family. Why are you coming back? And this was his answer.
Why did you decide to come back into the race?
Look, this is an extremely important election. Over the course of the last few months, having a little more time at home than I've grown accustomed to, watching the conversations play out in my community, not just what we see on the news, but about the impact of the potential trade war on jobs in my own community, made me feel like I wanted to do something to serve. I had made peace with the idea that there was going to be life after politics and figuring out what capacity that would be in. Having a couple of conversations with my neighbors who work at places like Michelin Tire in Grant and Pictou County, who sell 70% of their tires to the American market, put at risk the well-being of families who live in my community. I received a call yesterday from the Prime Minister asking if I would reconsider and step up to help out during this unprecedented economic challenge. And the bulk of our conversation turned quickly to whether we could build in protections for a young parent to actually do the job effectively without giving up on the idea that you should be there for your kids. I have assurances and comfort that I'm going to be able to be closer to home than I was over the course of the past few years and still make a contribution to the country that we all love. And I think this is a time for people to step up and make a difference. So here I am once again reoffering as a candidate for Central Nova.
Like a good neighbor, Sean Fraser's there, right, folks? Yeah, so kind of him, You know, the reasons I said, I've been hearing my neighbors been saying how the potential trade tariffs or the tariffs can impact my neighborhood and those around me. Well, folks, let's not forget. I don't know, he resigned back in December. These talks of tariffs were coming long before that. And now all of a sudden, it's scary now. I got to go back to the post. No, you wanted to make sure you didn't lose in squalor. And now you have a chance to continue your political career. So you think. And you're just like, yeah, for my country, just about as genuine as Mark Carney. I got to do it for the country. Right. Yeah, got it. You know, have a hard time believing it. But, you know, it is what it is. What I found funny, I genuinely felt a little bad because this man came back for Mark Carney. Mark Carney pleaded, please, Mr. Tall Man, Sean Fraser, 6'9", can you please come back into the fray? We need your help in this unprecedented time with Donald Trump. Please do it. But I bring you to this because this is where it comes down to, folks. We covered this story yesterday. CSIS alleges India organized support for Poilievre's 2022 conservative leadership bid, and they drudge up history to make it and try to repackage it as if it's new to try and drum up fear about Poilievre being an agent of election interference, that he somehow is an illegitimate leader. They tried to do that yesterday. That actually happened. And we broke it. We talked about it. We broke it down of how it's been happening yesterday's video. But it kept getting more interesting because the likes of Ruby Dalla made sure to put her hat in the ring after what she experienced with the Liberal Party, saying that she was an agent of foreign interference because she got just a little bit too close to King Carney. This was her post yesterday. This is a glimpse into the playbook of the Liberal Party establishment. Whenever someone threatens Mark Carney's coronation, the foreign interference accusations mysteriously appear on the front page at the Globe and then CBC News. First, they did it to people of color. Now it's Pierre Poilievre. Anyone who is competing and winning against Mark Carney could be next. The most absurd part, it's Mark Carney who's been living and working outside Canada for the last 20 years. That's why 5.8 million people engaged on my X account after this BS happened to me. No one wants an attack on our democracy. The liberal elites need to battle this election on policies, ideas, and vision, not by attacking their opponents with baseless smears. And we all know what happened with Ruby Dalla, where she got a little too close. And then all of a sudden they decided, she submitted her $350,000 and said, have a good one. How you doing? Keep it moving. And they took her money and ran and kicked her out of the race because they could not dare to have her on the same debate stage as Mark Carney. So she was the first one to call this out. And she highlighted the article of everything that happened to her and the baseless smears of foreign interference against her. And so she kind of is onto something here. When someone gets a little too close to Mark Carney in the establishment, all of a sudden the Globe and Mail, boom, 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 like systems, accuses the enemy of foreign interference, accuses the enemy of what they are currently doing. I talked about on Candace Malcolm's show yesterday. Because I think it needs to be stopped, any type of foreign interference happening on our soil. However, this foreign interference had nothing to really do with the result of the election of Pierre Poilievre. Quite frankly, it wasn't even that well coordinated, and this was known, and it didn't even come from the top of CSIS. It came from some random who wanted to stay nameless. It was a completely baseless smear against Pierre Poilievre, and tried to drum up fear in the media through the Globe and Mail and then through CBC. This is how the media apparatus works in this country. This is why shows like mine exist. People say, oh, you're such a Poilievre fanboy. How about you post something negative about Poilievre? My friends, when the corruption seems to be only flowing in one direction, that stuff's going to be reported. I'm sick and tired of it. We have a whole media apparatus and system set up against the people here in Canada who will lie to your face to cover for their homies who are cutting their checks. And they'll come after me saying, oh, you're just a Poilievre fanboy. We can't take you seriously. Want to know why there's so many perceived conservative right-wing creators now? That is the reason. This is the reason. The establishment has a whole media apparatus for themselves, and independent media is very important to call out both sides, because the show has called out Poilievre in the past. We have called out the Conservative Party. We have called out the Liberals and the NDP. The Greens not worth talking about. And we make fun of the Bloc Québécois. That's how this operates. That's how this goes. And to see that just by the snap of the fingers, a story about Ruby Dalla goes out to smear her image and smear her reputation. And then now we're seeing Poilievre doing very well, pulling the numbers he's pulling in, getting the establishment very nervous. And then boom, Global Mail, smear piece. Interesting how that works. And so I had to wonder about it. And I need to remind you of this. Top of here, Prime Minister Carney meets the Prime Minister's Council on Canada and U.S. Relations, and he named his inner circle on the Canada-U.S. Relations Committee. One of those names, let's remind you folks, is Mark Wiseman, works for BlackRock, also happens to be the chair of the Century Initiative. The initiative that desires to bring Canada's population to 100 million people by 2100 without any thought to it. They actually brag about it, saying, no, we just need to do it. We'll get it figured out. There's no thought process to it. It's all about driving wages down. So guys like Mark Wiseman, who worked at BlackRock, and his buddies at BlackRock, Carney's friends at BlackRock, Carney's friends at these multinational corporations, can get rich by taking advantage of the cheap labor in Canada. This is all part of that plan. So Mark Wiseman, part of Carney's inside circle, runs the Century Initiative. Do you know what else is very interesting about the Century Initiative? Oh, Pierre Poilievre has come out and said he's in opposition of it, wants to have nothing with it, wants to focus on putting Canada first for a change. And this is where it gets very interesting. Mark Wiseman, keep that in mind. Century Initiative, keep that in mind. Globe and Mail, boom. Turns out, Andy Lee brought this up yesterday. Shout out Andy Lee. The Globe and Mail is Century Initiative's official media partner and the exclusive media partner for our national scorecard on growth and prosperity. Surprise, surprise, folks. Wonder why the Globe and Mail is so quick to do smear pieces on those who oppose Carney and the liberal establishment? This is it right here, folks. And can't trust a screenshot? That's okay. Let's go to the Century Initiative's website, where they announced this partnership back in 2021, almost exactly 4 years ago. Century Initiative is pleased to announce a new multi-year partnership with the Globe and Mail. As our national media partner, they will help us connect with new audiences, raise awareness of our work and why it matters, and share evidence-based insights with the Canadian public. We are pleased to be partnering with the Globe and Mail and our mutual pursuit of building a better Canada. The Canada that we think should be built. The Canada that is in our eyes, not the Canada that you care about. We're seeing that with the fishers out in Newfoundland. Oh, it's because of the science we have to put a quota on the crab, even though it has nothing to do with anything that's happening out on the water. But no, it's our science. You have to believe our science. You have to believe our way of life. You have to believe our perspective on it. Globe and Mail, Liberal Party. This is a connection that is starting to form more. Oh, Josh, it's one connection. Yes, it's one connection. But do you want to see something else that's fairly interesting? Well, Andy Lee made sure to say this as well. The Globe is the Century Initiative's official media partner. It is run by Mark Carney's advisor, Mark Wiseman, and is partially funded by Power Corporation, run by Carney's top donors, who also lead the Canada-China Business Council. Foreign interference is alive and well, folks. You cannot trust this outlet any longer, even if you did. I actually had a lot of faith in Robert Fife. I took him seriously. Now I can't. I thought he was one of the good ones. Turns out I was wrong. And you see anything else that comes out of Globe and Mail that's smearing anybody, you have to ask the question, okay, who's opposing the Liberal Party? Who's opposing Mark Carney? Is that the person they're smearing in this? Why? Maybe they're just getting too close to the power. My friends, it stinks to have to show this, but it's the reality we're living in this very greasy, slimy, and sneaky election campaign. It's how it goes, and it stinks. I hate it, but the reality is the reality, and you have to learn how to work with it. And we will need to keep putting the information out, keep pushing the message out of what is happening and how our country is being taken over by multinational interests. Mark Carney being the face of it all, who is trying to parade a facade that he is a true Canadian patriot. We all know is fake, but these are more connections that the Liberal Party and the Globe and Mail are getting a little too close. But that's it for this morning. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.